writing like narratives where I would be using that. But it was fun to read and interesting to read.
Thank you. I know you're still working.
Well, basically, I had said character development. That's really all, you're just seeing. I was looking for all those other little things too that we had done in this, but it just kept jumping back out. But,
But that's good.
the purpose here was
Wherever you start,
developing
that's where
her
you start.
characters.
That's
Yeah.
So chapter 5, and the girl, the woman, the sister was talking. The brother, the pain was talking.
Yeah.
The pain is the brother. Now you have chapter 6. Who's talking?
The great one, the girl.
Right. Now that's what's wonderful about this book. Right? The story is told, but they only chapters, but they're telling the same story from different perspectives. That's why I like it so much.
Yeah.
So what did you come up with?
Dialogue, same as she had talked about in the book that I said was another example, was The Magic Tree House, where Annie and Jack, they do dialogue like that. Now, but they do go back and forth between the characters some with Annie and Jack. I know that I've personally read books in my life, like James Patterson books and different ones, where they've had different characters' point of view, and as you change your chapter, the character changes.
Right.
And the other one I was talking about was the character's point of view, really digging into the character and who they are.
Okay. Now, this is my last task. Now we can look at chapter 7, right? And I would like for us all to read that one together, if you don't mind. Like out loud, if it's okay.
Are you reading it out loud to the
unicorn hunter?
We're gonna share. It should be 101. Yes.
It was an accident, a simple mistake, a last-minute effort to save time. They just tossed it in, and it will all work out sort of gesture that led to Ruth Wakefield's creation of a really oh so delicious chocolate chip cookie. We're gonna stop there.
And so we said, well, it's a series of short sentences, and then we said some of them aren't really sentences, that rename or give new details, followed by a long, rambling, descriptive sentence. And we said the purpose was to rename, to provide further detail, and for drama. And then we named it Rhythm, but we're open to other suggestions if you have another name for it. Anyone? No?
And the other text example that came to my mind was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah. And in our writing, we decided that we didn't have it, but we will.
We will. And we both teach sixth grade, so we feel like this is something our sixth graders can model very easily and enjoy breaking the rules.
Like it.
Yeah.
Asked them if they wanted to see me draw a picture of a man, and they did. So I drew a stick figure on the board, and then I showed them some pictures of Van Gogh, and started noticing the texture of the coat, the texture of the man's face, and the different colors he uses. The jacket's not just blue; it's blue and black and gray to create texture. He uses a paintbrush to do that. So I started calling these simple sentences, these base sentences, stick figure sentences. And I said, let's make this stick figure sentence of Van Gogh. At first, they wanted to do that with every single sentence. But I said, no, you have to just kind of sprinkle it in, like, you wouldn't dump a whole carton of Morton salt on your French fries. You have to sprinkle it in, and a little less is more. So that's a technique that I see here.
I think participles is such a strong lesson when I was teaching seventh grade because it's so fast and easy and to the point to pull a mentor sentence up and immediately say, go try it right now. 5 minutes.
And then we were also reading Hatchet at the same time, and they would stop. So there's some of those participle things. Yeah, that's some of the participle things. And But as we used them in our writing, we started noticing them. And you'd be surprised how often the participles are used. And sometimes it might be parts of the phrase like licking his lips. Or, do we want to kind of focus in on one of these texts? Did anybody read the same thing, perhaps? Anybody have a chance to look at the heart attack scene? If there's one in particular we want to look at.
So even in, I mean, that's just what makes me even in the book, it's a simple storyline, simple, very primary-ish. There's still some very complex literary elements and crafts that are going on here. Can you think of other books that you may have seen these crafts in before? I know that Chris Van Allsburg, if you're familiar with Chris Van Allsburg, but he wrote Polar Express, Jumanji, Garden of Outdoor Exotic. He uses a lot of hyphenated words in this, and he also uses the all caps. Anybody that you can think of that uses
I used to have Chris Van who?
Chris Van Allsburg, so it's VAN, and then Allsburg, ALLSBURG. Anything you for both the storyline and the craft that uses the long pause. Did y'all see that? This one. You know, you can have a conversation with your students about what is another craft that writers do to signify a long pause, and that will be the ellipses. A lot of times writers will use those to signify that wait period. And again, if you are in your own classroom and you have access to your classroom library or the kids' books that they read, this column about other texts would be a lot easier to do. It's kind of hard to do when you're isolated from the classroom. Everything seems to go out of your memory. And then if their own writing too would be the same way. If they have access to their writer's notebooks and can pull out their own writing. And it may not be that something they have already done, but maybe they could see how, oh, I can, in this basketball story, I could go back in and add an idea and capitalize, putting it in all caps so it stands out. Or, in my poem about waiting on my sister to get ready for school, I could use long dashes. Questions?
Having more likely to have them do it on the spot because I don't know that it's very difficult to get them to write. And so they really haven't compiled as much in their writing journals and things as I wish they would. And or they don't have writing journals in their pieces of paper and they don't have them readily. So for me, it would work better to have them do that.
Can you try it out?
Can you try it out? That's actually what we did it when we did the mental sentences as opposed to mental, take as opposed to. So for me, I think it would work to have them try it out, and then as a step for those who are more organized, can you go back? Because we're kind of creating a mirror. I don't really know they're creating, but I mean, they're exercises that when I tell them to do things, it's all geared towards ultimately them producing some form of a memoir because I've introduced them to like 5 styles of poetry and different things, but they're all about them. So, so I would say, try it, in a sentence or two, that you can incorporate, later on into your piece. And then, do you have anything that you think you could enrich or enhance by using this technique? Yes, yeah.
If you've studied, like, say, this book, for instance, and you pulled out all of those different things, maybe it's try one of these in your
in your memoir poem or whatever you're working on. You know, you don't have to do all of them, but pick one or two. You can.
And then I would see the thing about just telling them to just try it is that I don't think they can really get enough writing, particularly when they're going to have to write for the test. So I would probably say try it, whether they have it or not. You know, try it now, and then see whether or not you can, you know, make something better. You know, rather than, so that way they get two writings or two, you know, a writing and an enhancement.
And sometimes I think inspire writing first. Yes, I pick it out, but can you use them for stylistic reasons when you create your own writing?
And that's kind of what I was thinking of when you guys were introducing this. It was okay, we're doing the positives this week, so let's look for positives.
Right.
And as you're reading, find one.
Right.
Kids have the books that they're reading, so they should be able to find them. But I like that idea of the anchor chart, add it on there, keep it going.
Are they doing a common reading or are they each reading individually?
We do both, but no, their reading time every day is their selected reading.
Okay.
So different books,
Right.
different authors, different genres.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say when I've done this, we just did it last week for my co-lab class. I found an example for them. I showed it to them. We talked about it, discussed why the author did it. Similar to what you've done, I'm going to add these other pieces to it. But then I allowed them, which is why I asked about the book, to take. I gave them 4 minutes to just flip through their book and see if they could identify one. And I kind of created it as an exit ticket to see who got it. And so that was my way of assessing. And then the next day I came back and I showed a new example. And for the ones who did get it, I would copy down my example as their own. And then we created one as a class together to give them a second example, just to make sure that they could get it. So so it was good to use as an assessment. It was kind of fun. And they were really excited when they opened up their books because everyone had a book on their level. And I think they were really amazed that, oh, you know, I'm not reading 600 pages, but hey, my book has that too.
Yeah.
You know, so
That's very powerful.
it
To
is.
see
It
that
is.
too.
And they're like, I can do this. I can do this too. So, yeah.
Did you, before I go back up there, when you were working with this chart, you mentioned something that you'd like to add to it, which I think would definitely enhance the use. Is there anything else that you noticed that should be changed or tweaked or, you know, because we actively use this actually in our undergrad writing classes and do the same activity. Just wondering, just you something out or worded differently or added.
Well, to what I just said, for my students, something that I would do for some of them is maybe add some options. It would do some pre-planning and give them choices of what they would see, because some of them may not be able to identify those things, and just so that it won't slow them down, that they'll be able to continue and still feel that success. Maybe I would give them a couple of options. Do you think this is a simile? Do you think this is, you know,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
So they have that little support there.
Right.
That they
I
can,
may add that as a version.
Or if they're using a writer's notebook, that could be a page in there that you've already given them a whole list of choices. Go to your writer's notebook and look at your list of choices and see if you can find any of those. And they'd always have that there as a resource.
And I wonder if under purpose, while they're doing this, that sometimes, you know, my kids are like, oh, I wonder if we say, what does this make us do as readers? You might tell us why the author's
What does
doing
it make us do as readers? And then
Because
they have to reflect.
that's the way we approach. We read this. What was it doing?
Right,
What
yeah.
was it doing for us
And
as
that's
readers?
really metacognition
Right.
too,
Yeah.
which is very kind of good.
What grade do you
To insects.
What concept might be used with our students in that, from that particular passage? Good, a lot. Metaphor, the imagery, and the imagery in that passage is so pretty. Okay.
pretty in a way that rips out your soul,
It
though.
is, and to think that she was 14 or 15. And I like to point that out to my students. You guys are 11 and 12, and look where you are in your writing. She's only 2 years older than you. Like, she's way ahead of me, in my writing. And so it goes to show that it has to be something that's inside, something that's inside that you want to get out. But yeah, I like the symbolism there and the imagery. I think she said we had about 1 million or 2. Did anybody?
That brings up a thought to me, though.
Sure, go ahead.
SE was 16 inch at the outside. That's almost a comparable text there in a sense. I wonder how much of a contrast you can do with that.
Then what's common then between S.E. Hinton and Anne Frank? I mean, it's something inside. It's something that's hurting inside that has to come out. I want one line here that sold me. I was reading this. I bought it in a Charleston bookstore and was waiting for my appetizer to get here. And I just opened the book and started reading. And I think, I hope it moves. Sure. It's in the second full paragraph on the back page. He says, again, a lot of families just can't in that time and place and condition like paper lace in a summer rain. And this is one that's not appropriate. It would be more appropriate for high school. But this line kind of stood out to me. He says, talking about unity.
Sorry.
Okay, we're going to come back together now and have a chance to let your group share out some of the crafts that you noticed as you were reading and working together. And Beth and Stephen are going to record those on our charts. So let's start. We'll start with our K2 group. K2 people, let's look over at the charts that we have started of writing crafts. And don't fall, Stephen. Do we have anything new, K2 group here, that we can add to the charts with writing crafts on them? Anything that we found that's not there? Okay, repetition. We had hyphenated words. Okay. Characterization. Okay. What else from the 3 through 5 gallery? Parallelism. Good. Repetition also of some sort. Okay. Which I think we already have, but still worth noting. Anything else? Okay. Let's go to the 6 through 8 table. What are some crafts? Adverbial phrases punctuated as sentences. And that's the one where you'll tell your students, a sentence has to be a full, it's got a subject and a predicate and a capital letter and a period, and they'll go, but this person is published and he or she didn't do that. What else do y'all have? Okay, rhythm. Good. Anything else? Characterization again, okay. Structure, okay. Okay, plot structure, if you want to add that. And then you might even want to put some check marks beside characterization, like because they've been mentioned, and then repetition, maybe. Dialogue, okay. Good. Anything else from that group? Ooh. Adding anecdotes. Okay, good. Personification, point of view. Okay, moving along to our last 6 through 8 group. Okay. Do we have repetition? Okay. Fragments, intentional fragments. Good. Intentional run-ons, otherwise known as, I think Katie Wood Ray calls those taffies or something, where they're long and stretched out. What else? Anything else? Metaphor. Symbolism and illusions. Anything else? Dialect. Good one. We asked you these at the beginning, and we got 3 answers, and now we have 20.
So as we wrap up our presentation, can you share out what your aha moments of the process of reading are? What grabbed you? What did you know? I did.
Um, I like what you said. I find it difficult as a teacher try to find when I say mentor text. It's like I don't have time to read all of these things that I would like to read. And there's nothing wrong with doing uh, mentor text on a sentence level and just pulling out a sentence that just pops or a sentence that just has an effect or gives a feeling in your heart or just where a kid wants to go, wow, how do you do that? So I do that sometimes. If I find a sentence that I like, I'll just put it on the board. Just look at this sentence. That's for no other reason than it sounds good or that it's cool. And a kid, and it's kind of like Ralph Fletcher earlier, they can hear it. And if they can hear it, then maybe they can do it. So don't be afraid to use mentor sentences and have kids collect them. That's a great great tool, and it's quick and it's easy.
My aha moment was when Clay told the story about working in a paper factory and you suddenly notice the different types of paper. You don't think about that as someone who generally doesn't work around different paper all the time. So extrapolating that to my classroom. I'm around enough of them. I can categorize them. I can bring a word. That was my aha moment.
Kind of going off what she's these once you start reading like this, a lot of these books that we put out will have lists of books that you can pull these different crafts from. But once you start reading like this, you can find these in all your books, your classroom library, your regular library, books, articles that you already have. It's not like you have to go buy all these new things. You start to develop that eye for it. And, oh, I remember it was in this. Oh, I know it's in that. And then move forward with that without spending a ton of money on mentor text too.
One thing that I noticed as we were working on the reader like writing using our K2 book is that I'm not a K2 teacher. I teach 7th grade, but I just went over anyway. And I was noticing that sometimes our students in 7th to 8th grade struggle in reading informational and argumentative writing pieces, and just how we could reconstruct this to fit that form or style of writing, just to help them in that mode.
Okay, the next one. What new insights did you gain about writing craft?
That we do have at our disposal, whether it be out of a textbook or different novels in our classroom or informational text, so many examples of modeling besides what we have to kind of come up with on our own. In this type of writing, we literally do have so many examples to show the kids in terms of craft and structure, which is a relief when we're always having to search and hunt down good, reliable text to use and examples, and we do have so many. So that's nice. Hmm. Exactly. Exactly.
Any other insights you gained? Okay, so we have some now and later candy. And as we pass this out, I want you to think about this last question up here. What can you take that you learned now, today, from our presentation, and use later and implement in your classroom? So we're going to pass them out and think about what you learned now that you're going to implement that could possibly do later. Nobody wants the mic. That's what it is. Noticing. I can wrap up.
Different texts that I haven't seen before. I do use children's. I teach 6th and 8th grade, and I do use children's books because they're so you can use them in a short for a mini lesson, and the kids love it because it's but I love this informational text here and the way this book is set up. It's very accessible but interesting, and the other children's books that you shared. It's just beautiful pieces of writing, and I haven't seen them before. So.
just really appreciated the tool that we were given with the prompting questions, because it really guided how I focused and thought through the text, that I might not have thought of it as an author, you know, when just reading it, just to enjoy the story or thinking about things. But these prompting questions really help. So I appreciated that. And then also something in the beginning that you shared, the my writing part, when it was kind of like you asked, oh, have you used this craft before? And you were sharing, you know, that beautiful letter you wrote to the people who bought your house. I was like, wow, that's awesome. But then mine was blank, right? Mine was blank. And she said, that's okay. That can be a goal for you. And I thought, oh, that's perfect goal setting, you know, as the kids have written through each of these, or you have guided them through. That last box is, oh gosh, I need to use repetition, or I need to use imagery or dialogue. And it becomes all those writing goals when you're conferring with your students, or when you're seeing their writing, you know, as a class. And, you know, 90% of us don't have dialogue in our narrative stories. We have a good goal here. And this Judy Blume one was just so beautiful with all the dialogue, exposing the characters, you know, in such a creative way. So I took that away.
Kind of making a note about that chart, our group over here mentioned that you could use this as an anchor chart in the classroom. And then you added that you can also include the actual text that is the example from the book on that chart, and then use the title and the page number so they can read it too if they want to. I thought that was a great idea. Like, here's how it's actually, here it is right here, and we can always refer to it. I thought that was a good idea.
On the GCTE site, we have the presenters folder. We have a blank version of that chart, so you can utilize that. And then we have the resource texts that are around on your tables. And we can also include this presentation there as well. Eventually, we're going to have the link to where you can find the recorded version of this presentation if you wanted to go back and view it. And there's our email addresses there if you need to reach out to us in any way. But we appreciate your attendance today, and thanks for your participation.